The planet Elysia shimmered like a jewel in the black velvet of space. Its cities glowed softly with crystals that reflected the light of the twin suns, and the forests sparkled with tiny bioluminescent plants that swayed as though dancing with the gentle breeze. Among these wonders, Kale, a human engineer, moved quietly through the streets of the capital city, Aravel. He was small in stature compared to the tall Elysians, whose limbs seemed to stretch gracefully like the branches of the luminous trees. Yet Kale carried himself with a quiet confidence, the kind that comes from knowing one's worth, even if others do not always see it. Kale worked on a research vessel stationed at the outskirts of Elysia's orbit. His duties were simple. Routine tasks, repairing sensors, calibrating instruments, checking the engine cores. Humans were a rare sight in Elysia. The aliens had heard stories of Earth, of how humans survived despite their planet being small, vulnerable, and chaotic. But in the Galactic Federation, humans were considered young, inexperienced, and, at times, reckless. Kale knew this, yet he never let it weigh him down. He preferred to prove himself through action rather than words. On one ordinary morning, Kale's routine was interrupted by a sudden alert. The monitors in the control room flashed red. Alarms hummed through the quiet corridors of the research vessel. A storm had appeared in an uncharted region of space, a swirling vortex of energy, unpredictable and dangerous. And inside it, trapped, was Princess Lyra. Lyra was more than royalty. She was intelligent, curious, and kind-hearted. She had often visited the research vessel to observe the human crew at work. The Elysians admired her for her wisdom, and even the counselors of the planet spoke of her as a leader who could unite the Federation if she wished. Kale had met her only a few times, exchanged polite words and occasional smiles, yet something about her courage inspired him deeply. Now, she was in danger. Kale watched the holographic projection of the storm spinning in the control room. Energy tendrils danced like liquid lightning, shifting in ways that defied prediction. The other crew members whispered nervously, suggesting to wait for the Elysian rescue fleet, but Kale shook his head. Waiting meant risking her life. His heart pounded, not with fear, but with a determination that surprised even him. "I'll go," he said firmly. The room fell silent. The senior Elysian engineers looked at him with raised brows. Humans rarely volunteered for such missions, especially one this dangerous. "You cannot go alone," one of them said, his voice gentle but firm. "The storm. It will tear apart any vessel not shielded for high-energy turbulence." Kale's gaze did not waver. "I have an idea," he said. "I can modify the craft for speed and maneuverability. It won't be perfect, but it will get me to her faster than anyone else." The Elysians exchanged worried glances. There was courage in Kale, yes, but there was also a hint of reckless audacity. To risk one's life in such a storm was not common among their kind. Yet, in Kale's eyes, they saw something rare. Determination, tempered with intelligence. After tense deliberation, the council allowed it. Kale worked feverishly, rewiring circuits, reinforcing shields, and recalibrating navigation systems. His human ingenuity was put to the test. Every modification was an experiment, a gamble. But Kale thrived in uncertainty. Where the Elysians relied on planning and rules, he trusted instinct, creativity, and the ability to adapt. By the time the modified craft was ready, Kale had only minutes to prepare. He looked at the small cockpit, designed for one. His hands hovered over the controls, double-checking every switch. Outside, the twin suns reflected off the crystal towers, casting a golden glow on the city. Somewhere within that glow, he imagined Lyra, trapped and frightened, waiting for him to act. He took a deep breath and entered the craft. The engines roared to life, vibrating through the floor as Kale lifted off from the city's docking station. Citizens paused to watch, their glowing eyes wide with awe. Some whispered words of encouragement, though most doubted a human could survive the storm. Kale ignored them. He had never let doubt guide him, only action. As he approached the storm, the craft shuddered violently. Energy arcs struck the hull like invisible hammers, testing the limits of his modifications. Kale gritted his teeth, navigating through twisting tunnels of light. He could see the princess now, a small vessel trapped within the swirling energy, powerless against the storm's force. Her craft drifted dangerously close to the vortex's core, where even the most advanced Elysian shields would falter. Kale calculated rapidly, adjusting the thrusters with precise movements. His hands moved like dancers, following patterns instinctively, almost without thinking. He was a human, yes, and humans were unpredictable, but that unpredictability was his strength. Where the storm shifted suddenly, he adapted faster than the machines could. Finally, he reached her. Lyra's eyes widened as she saw him materialize from the chaos. A human flying a fragile ship with courage beyond belief. Kale extended the docking clamp, connecting their crafts. For a brief moment, silence filled the storm. The energy swirled around them like a living thing, but Kale held steady. "Hold on," he said simply, though his voice trembled slightly. The storm roared in response, throwing them sideways. The hull creaked, alarms blared. But Kale's instincts guided every move. He focused on the path out, calculating angles, energy flows, and timing with precision. His human mind, so young and inexperienced in the eyes of the galaxy, proved faster and more flexible than the advanced Elysian programming. Minutes felt like hours, but slowly, steadily, they moved. The storm began to release them, as though recognizing the determination within the human pilot. KL adjusted the shields at the last second, absorbing an energy surge that would have destroyed many vessels. Finally, they broke free. The storm receding behind them, Lyra's ship floated beside his, steady at last. She looked at him with awe and gratitude. I didn't think anyone could do it," she said softly. Kale smiled, though he was exhausted. "Humans like a challenge," he said. "And some of us never give up." She studied him for a long moment. There was curiosity in her eyes, yes, but also respect. Elysians were used to bravery in theory, but they rarely saw it in action, especially from a human. KL had shown not only courage, but also intelligence, adaptability, and a willingness to risk everything for another life. When they returned to Aravel, the citizens celebrated. Kale's name spread quickly, though he remained humble, insisting he had only done what anyone would do. The princess, however, knew differently. She had seen his courage firsthand. She understood the rare qualities in humans, not strength alone, but the combination of quick thinking, moral courage, and the audacity to act when others hesitated. The council hailed Kale as a hero. But not all were pleased. Some elders questioned why a human had risked everything for a royal princess. They worried about humans overstepping their place in the galaxy. Yet, even they could not deny the results. A human had entered the storm, faced the impossible, and returned with the princess alive. That evening, Kale stood on the balcony of the research station, gazing at the glowing city below. Twin suns dipped toward the horizon, casting long shadows across the crystalline towers. The wind carried the faint hum of the city, the whispers of awe and disbelief from those who had watched his daring act. Lyra approached him quietly. She did not speak at first, simply watching the human who had risked everything for her. Finally, she said, "You have a gift, Kale. Not just courage, but the ability to act when others cannot. You are different from any species I have met." Kale shrugged, smiling softly. "Maybe, or maybe humans just like to prove we belong in this galaxy." She laughed, a sound like crystal chimes in the wind. "Perhaps. But you have shown me something important today. Humans are unexpected, and in unexpected ways, they can be extraordinary." For Kale, the day's events were exhausting, but he felt a spark, a sense of purpose growing within him. He knew this was only the beginning. Humans were young among the stars, yes, but he had glimpsed the power they held when courage, intelligence, and heart came together. That night, as Alicia's twin moons rose, casting silver light over the forests and crystal towers, Kale thought of the storm, the danger, and the human spirit that had guided him. Somewhere in the galaxy, Far beyond Elysia, other challenges awaited. And Kale was ready, because humans, as he now understood, did not simply survive, they thrived where others hesitated, and in doing so, they could change destinies. The city of Aravel had returned to its usual rhythm, but the memory of Kale's daring rescue of Princess Lyra remained fresh in every mind. Elysians whispered his name in awe, though few believed that a human could possess such courage. For Kale, the excitement of the rescue had faded into reflection. He knew that bravery alone would not define his place among the stars. Intelligence, patience, and wisdom were equally important. The next morning, Kale received a formal invitation to the royal palace. The Elysian guards, tall and serene, guided him through halls of crystal and light. The walls shimmered with 1,000 colors as the twin sun's rays passed through the mineral surfaces, creating patterns that danced across the floor. At the end of the grand corridor, Queen Selene, Lyra's mother, awaited him. The queen's presence was both regal and calm. Her eyes, deep and thoughtful, studied Kale carefully. Unlike her daughter, who had smiled and thanked him freely, the queen seemed to weigh every action, every intention, as though she could see the measure of a soul in a glance. "Kale," she said, her voice soft yet commanding, "you have done something extraordinary. You risked your life for my daughter. And yet, I must ask, are you as wise as you are brave?" Kale bowed, feeling the weight of her gaze. I try to be," he said humbly. The queen nodded. "Courage can win a battle, but wisdom guides an entire people. If you wish to be more than a hero in Elysia's eyes, you must prove your mind as well as your heart." She handed him a small, intricate device. It was a star mapper, centuries old, partially broken and deactivated. Its surface was engraved with alien symbols, some glowing faintly. "This star mapper controls routes through the Corinthian expanse," she explained. "For decades, no one has been able to repair it. It is said the last attempt was abandoned after months of failure. If you can restore it, you will not only demonstrate skill but also insight into our history and the galaxy beyond." Kyle examined the star mapper. It was unlike any human machine he had seen. Its core pulsed with energy. Yet the circuits were alien, almost organic in design. Most humans would have been overwhelmed. But Kale felt something familiar: the challenge, the puzzle, the chance to prove that human creativity could meet alien complexity. "I will do my best," he said. Over the next several days, Kale worked tirelessly in the royal archives. The room smelled faintly of ozone and crystal dust, illuminated by soft lights that shifted with the time of day. He studied the star mapper, tracing its circuits with careful fingers, observing how energy flowed through the intricate pathways. The first challenge was understanding the symbols. Each marking represented not only a coordinate but a complex calculation of gravitational forces, energy currents, and light distortions across the galaxy. Kale spent hours analyzing patterns, comparing them with star charts stored in the archives. Slowly, he began to recognize sequences, repetitions, and logic behind the alien design. His work was interrupted occasionally by Lyra, who came to check on him. She watched silently at first, then offered small suggestions. "Perhaps the flow of energy mirrors the currents of space itself," she said once. "Try thinking of it like a river." Kyle nodded, appreciating her insight, yet he continued to rely on his own instincts. Humans often solved problems differently from Elysians. Where the aliens sought perfection in theory, Kale sought workable solutions in practice. Step by step, he tested ideas, learning from every mistake. As days turned into a week, Kale began to see progress. The star mapper hummed more steadily, and some of the alien circuits began to respond to his adjustments. Yet, the final connection linking the ancient navigational system to current star charts remained unsolved. The device flickered and dimmed repeatedly, as though it were alive and resistant to change. Late one night, Kale stood before the star mapper, exhausted but determined. He traced a path through the glowing symbols and realized something important. The machine was not just a tool for navigation, it was a record of Alicia's history, of the paths their ancestors had taken through the stars. Every failure in the past had left a mark, a warning embedded in the circuits. Understanding this, Kale approached the problem differently. He didn't just repair circuits. He listened to the machine, studied its patterns, and anticipated its needs. Where others had forced their logic upon it, he adapted to its logic. Slowly, carefully, he integrated the old roots with new calculations, aligning past wisdom with present reality. The moment of truth came at dawn. Kale activated the final sequence. The star mapper glowed fully, projecting a holographic map of the Corinthian expanse. Streams of light traced routes across space, highlighting safe passages, currents of energy, and regions to avoid. The machine had not only been repaired, it had been enhanced, guided by human intuition and creativity. Queen Selene entered silently, observing the glowing map. Her eyes widened slightly as she realized what had been accomplished. "You have done what none of our people could," she said softly. "You have restored not only the device but also the knowledge it represents. You see patterns where others see confusion, and solutions where others see only obstacles." Kale bowed, unsure how to respond. "I only followed the information the machine gave me," he said humbly. Lyra, standing beside her mother, smiled warmly. "No, Kale," she said. "You understood it in a way none of us could. That is human ingenuity combining heart, mind, and action in harmony." The Queen's expression softened, but her gaze remained thoughtful. "Kale, humans are young among the stars. You have shown potential beyond what many would expect, but this is only the beginning. The galaxy is vast, and there are challenges far greater than storms or broken machines. Will you continue to rise to them?" Kale looked at the star mapper, then at the Queen and Princess. He thought of the storm, the risk, and the lessons learned in those terrifying moments. He realized that courage alone would not carry him forward. Wisdom, patience, and a willingness to learn would be just as important. "I will," he said firmly. "I will do everything I can to meet the challenges ahead." The Queen nodded, a small smile appearing. "Then you have passed the first test, not of bravery, but of understanding. Your path may lead you beyond Alicia, but know this. The galaxy will judge humans not by the courage of one individual, but by the collective ability of your people to adapt, create, and inspire." In the days that followed, Kale continued his work at the archives, now with the quiet respect of the Elysian Council. He documented his methods, translating alien logic into patterns humans could understand. Lyra often joined him, and together they explored other ancient machines, discussing strategies and possibilities. The princess, usually reserved and careful, found herself learning from Kale's unorthodox approaches. One evening, as the twin suns set behind the crystalline towers, Kale and Lyra walked through the palace gardens. Bioluminescent plants lit their path, creating a soft, glowing river of light. Lyra turned to him. "Kale," she said, her voice thoughtful, "your courage brought you to Alicia. Your mind kept you here. But there is something else. A way humans inspire others. We are seeing it in the way your actions change not just machines, but people, even the Queen, even the Council." Kale smiled. "I suppose humans have a way of surprising others," he said lightly. "Maybe that is our strength, the unexpected." Lyra nodded. "Yes. And you have shown that sometimes the unexpected can achieve what tradition cannot. You have changed how we see humans." Kale felt a warmth of pride, tempered with humility. He knew he was still just a human among countless alien civilizations. Yet, for the first time, he understood that humans had a place in the galaxy, not just as observers, but as contributors, innovators, and catalysts for change. That night, Kale gazed at the stars above Alicia. The sky was filled with streaks of distant light, ships, comets, and the glow of faraway suns. He imagined the Corinthian expanse, the paths he had uncovered, and the challenges that lay beyond. His heart beat with anticipation. Humans were young, yes. But he realized that youth carried opportunity. The galaxy awaited those willing to take risks, think differently, and act boldly, and Kale was ready. For the first time, he felt that human ingenuity, combined with courage and heart, could meet any test. And perhaps, in time, it could even change the destiny of humanity among the stars. The days after Kale's success with the Star Mapper were filled with quiet reflection. Elysia was buzzing with admiration for the human who had not only saved Princess Lyra but also restored an ancient piece of their history. Kale, however, did not linger on praise. He understood that heroism was fleeting, and true recognition came from consistent action and understanding. Queen Selene had invited him for a private audience. Kale walked through the crystal halls of the palace, their surfaces reflecting the twin suns' light in intricate patterns. Each step seemed heavier than the last, not because of fear, but because he knew that this meeting could change everything about his life. When he entered the queen's chamber, he found her sitting calmly, hands folded over her robes, the faint glow of crystal chandeliers illuminating her serene face. Princess Lyra stood nearby, her expression both proud and curious. "Kale," the queen began, her voice calm yet filled with authority, "you have shown qualities rare among your species: courage, intellect, humility, and perseverance. You have proven that humans are capable of extraordinary feats, even in ways we did not anticipate." Kale bowed deeply. "I only did what I believed was right, Your Majesty." Selene smiled faintly, though her eyes remained sharp. "And yet, what you have done is more than right. You have shown that humanity possesses the ability to rise to challenges with creativity, adaptability, and moral courage. You have earned the trust and admiration of Elysia. But I have more to offer you, a path that few humans have ever walked." Kyle straightened, curiosity lighting his face. "A path?" "Yes," the queen said. "I am inviting you to become the first human ambassador to the Galactic Council. Not as a representative of Elysia alone, but as a symbol of humanity's potential in the wider galaxy. You will be entrusted to work alongside leaders from countless civilizations, to guide, negotiate, and demonstrate that humans have a place among the stars." Kale's heart skipped a beat. Humans were young, their species barely known in interstellar politics. To be given such responsibility was unimaginable. Yet, as he looked at the Queen and Princess Lyra, he saw the sincerity in their eyes. This was real. This was his destiny unfolding before him. I am honored, Your Majesty," he said, struggling to find words. "I will do everything I can to live up to your trust." The Queen nodded. "I have no doubt you will. But know this: being an ambassador is not merely about speaking or negotiating. It is about understanding, empathy, strategy, and the courage to act when circumstances demand it. You will face situations where your creativity and humanity will be tested more than ever before." KL accepted the responsibility with a quiet determination. He understood that this was more than recognition. It was a chance to prove that humanity could thrive and contribute meaningfully among the stars. In the weeks that followed, Kale prepared for his new role. Elysian scholars tutored him in galactic politics, language nuances, and the histories of civilizations he had never imagined. Kale absorbed information quickly, translating complex alien protocols into patterns he could understand. He combined knowledge with his natural human intuition, often seeing solutions and connections that others overlooked. Princess Lyra frequently joined him during his studies. She asked questions, challenged his assumptions, and encouraged him to think beyond rules. "Humans do not always follow the same logic as other species," she said one evening. "But that can be an advantage. Your perspective can reveal opportunities we might never notice." Kale smiled. "I hope it will be enough," he admitted. "Sometimes I feel humans are still too young to make a real difference." Lyra shook her head. "No, Kale. Humans are young, yes, but your courage, curiosity, and creativity are exactly what the galaxy needs. You have already changed the way we see your people." When the day came for Kale to depart for the Galactic Council, Elysia gathered to honor him. Citizens lined the crystal streets, their glowing eyes reflecting excitement and pride. The councilors spoke of his achievements, but Kale remained humble, bowing and acknowledging the citizens' applause with a quiet smile. As his ship lifted off from the palace docking bay, he felt a mixture of excitement and responsibility. Below him, Elysia's crystal towers sparkled in the sunlight, and he knew that what he had accomplished here was only the beginning. The journey to the Galactic Council was long, spanning multiple light years and passing through regions of space few humans had ever traveled. Kale marveled at the vastness of the galaxy, the diversity of planets, and the intricate networks of civilizations. Every planet, every star system, held lessons and challenges, and he felt a deep sense of purpose guiding him forward. Upon arrival, the council chamber impressed even the most seasoned delegates. Towers of metal and light rose high, each representing a civilization. Holographic projections of stars, ships, and systems rotated in complex patterns above their heads. Ambassadors from countless species observed Kale with curiosity. Some were polite, others skeptical, and a few whispered among themselves about the audacity of a human stepping into such a position. Kale's first session began immediately. He listened carefully as debates unfolded over trade, security, and exploration. Some delegates questioned humanity's readiness, but Kale responded with clarity, demonstrating not only knowledge but also creativity in solving disputes. He suggested alternative solutions that combined practicality with empathy, gaining respect from even the most skeptical members. Over time, Kale became known for his unique approach. He considered problems from multiple angles, blending logic, intuition, and compassion. Other species, used to rigid methods and long-standing traditions, began to see value in the human way of thinking. Kale did not force his ideas. He presented them, adapted them, and demonstrated their effectiveness through action. One particular challenge tested him more than any before. A dispute had arisen between two powerful civilizations over resource-rich planets near a volatile nebula. The situation was tense. A single wrong move could escalate into a galactic conflict. Kale studied the situation carefully. Rather than siding with one faction or imposing a solution, he proposed a collaborative approach. Joint exploration missions, shared technology, and neutral zones, where research could continue safely. The delegates were cautious at first, but Kale's plan worked. The nebula's energy patterns were mapped, resources were shared, and tensions eased. Elysians and others whispered that humans might possess a rare combination of insight and courage that allowed them to find solutions where others saw only deadlocks. News of Kale's success spread across the galaxy. Humans, once underestimated, began to be seen in a new light. Ambassadors requested meetings with him to learn from his methods. Young humans in colonies looked up to him as proof that their species had a future among the stars. Kale, however, remained grounded. He knew that his actions represented more than himself. They represented all of humanity. Every decision, every demonstration of courage and intelligence, carried weight far beyond personal achievement. Princess Lyra and Queen Selene kept in close contact, offering guidance and support. Lyra's encouragement reminded Kale of the storm he had flown into and the lessons he had learned in Elysia. "Remember, Kale," she said in one message, "humans are remarkable because you act when others hesitate. Never lose that spark." Kale reflected on those words as he attended another council session. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges, conflicts, and opportunities. Yet he had discovered something profound. Humans, young and unpredictable, had a unique strength. Courage, creativity, empathy, and adaptability were qualities that could shape destinies, even across civilizations far older than humanity itself. One evening, after a particularly long session, Kale stood at the observation deck of the council tower. Stars stretched infinitely in every direction. Nebulae glowed in vibrant colors, and ships glided between worlds like birds across a sky of light. He felt a deep sense of accomplishment, but also humility. The galaxy was enormous, and humans were still small, but they had potential beyond measure. He thought of Elysia, of Princess Lyra, and of Queen Celine's faith in him. Their trust had been the spark that ignited his journey. Without their guidance and belief, he might never have stepped into the storm, repaired the star mapper, or accepted the responsibility of representing his species. Now, he realized that a single act of courage could ripple outward, shaping events far beyond one individual's life. Kale's story became a legend among humans and aliens alike. Tales of the human who saved a princess, repaired an ancient device, and became a voice for his species spread across planets. But Kale did not dwell on fame. Instead, he focused on the next challenge, the next opportunity to demonstrate that humans could rise to the occasion, think creatively, and act with courage and heart. In the end, Kale understood a fundamental truth. Destiny was not handed to anyone. It was created through choices, actions, and the willingness to take risks for something greater than oneself. Humans were young, but their potential was vast. And through him, the galaxy saw that potential. For the first time, as Kyle gazed at the stars, he knew that the journey had only just begun. Humanity had found its place among the stars not because of power, or numbers, or ancient history, but because humans were capable of courage, creativity, and compassion in ways that could change the course of civilizations. And Kale, the human who risked everything for a princess, had become the symbol of that promise. He smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility and the thrill of possibility. The stars beckoned, vast and full of wonders, and Kale knew that humans were ready to meet them. For courage, intelligence, and heart could carry a species farther than anyone had ever imagined. And so, humanity's journey among the stars had begun with one human, one act of bravery, and a destiny rewritten by trust, faith, and the endless potential of the human spirit.